Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day. This is your neighborhood Sensei Fouché telling all y'all stay woke. Relax. Take notes. I'm gonna ad lib off normal conversation or topic in reference to the power of now. One thing I was really focused on today in relation to a lot of the current read that I've been giving back is the term maturity. When we're extremely adolescent, you always say like, I can't wait to be grown. Or, you start to reach a certain age within the older child, and, you start feeling as if, you're independent. I know what's good for me. I'm independent. I'm grown. I don't need anyone to tell me anything. I mean, that's common conversation and what we hear or what we have spoken ourselves. If we've covered anything, one thing I am going to state first and foremost: this is an interdependent world. So let's start breaking down some definitions, you know what I'm saying? First, let's go into mature, as it is, stated in definition in the Merriam-Webster, kind of in line with Oxford language. But it breaks down into a few different definitions, which are all synonymous. The first definition: based on slow, careful consideration. That kind of makes sense, or it does make sense realistically, because it is the definition. 2, having completed natural growth and development. They use the example of fruit, which, is we're part of nature. And when we grow to a physical evolution to where, we're not going to, our height is not going to get any taller. Or they say that the human mind is not fully developed until you're in your mid to late 20s. Average number 27 years old, or 25, to put it in the middle. So, excuse me. So from a physical standpoint of organs, or your entire body in length, like there's only, a certain plateau that it is going to attain physically. You know what I'm saying? From a basic standpoint. Having attained a final or desired state, which is basically, the same thing as what we just read, because it's just a sub-definition underneath 2. Having achieved a low but stable growth rate. Again, of, relating to, or being an older adult. And that's the last of our second sub definitions. Then our third definition goes into of or relating to a condition of full development, characteristic of or suitable to a mature individual. And then underneath that, which is, post third definition, due for payment, when you're dealing with finances and banking. And then our fifth definition goes into belonging to the middle portion of a cycle of erosion. So basically, you reach a peak level of, in this state, we'll say, in this conversation, we'll say, of physical development. And then once you reach that peak, then, there's a slow decline, depending on the circumstances of how you take care of yourself mentally and physically. So, of course, immature is exhibiting less than an expected degree of maturity, lacking complete growth, differentiation, or development. Differentiation, that's the word. Lacking complete growth, differentiation, or development. Having the potential capacity to attain a definitive form or state. So let me go into these other definitions, which is going to be dependent. Now, dependent, a lot of us are going to say, yeah, I know what a dependent is, and I'm sure you do. But for the sake of someone who may not be honestly completely aware, that's what these definitions are for. No one's the dummy unless you actually know and then you don't follow through with what you actually know. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to, minimize your lack of, because we trying to fill you within. You know what I'm saying? We trying to build within. You're within. That's what we trying to do. So there's no shame. And there's no shame in me being basically specific. A dependent is a person who relies on another for support, aid, or sustenance, especially financial support. Let's go into independent, and these things are a little bit deeper from the esoteric standpoint. And, we'll get into that in a quick minute. Independent, which is an adjective because dependent was a noun. Free from outside control, not depending on another's authority. Not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. Capable of thinking or acting for oneself. Now, what I learned not too long ago, and this is probably going back into either late summer, or going into the fall. But hold tight because yeah, basically what they stated was independent is a con job. And the reason why they say that is because let's look at the definition. Free from outside control, not depending on another's authority. We live in a system of government. The world has always been operating on a order, a totem pole of order and who controls aspects of order. So, you saying, hey, I could do whatever I want. Yeah, right, because it ain't like you could walk in the bank and go freely behind the counter and just start grabbing money from out of the till and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be accountable for that, and there's a definite prison, federal at that. Not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. Now, the key word is another, because let's say you're a child, like you need your parents or your guardian to be able to provide some form of subsistence, food, to put it simply, in that reference, to continue to live, you know what I'm saying, and not break down from an organ standpoint and have eventual demise. From a adult standpoint, in these days, like, we have supermarkets, so other people or other entities create and provide the location for us to comfortably be able to get different types of food, right? You know what I'm saying? We in the millennium 2000s, and in these days, like, everything is available. You know what I'm saying? Because of technology. You go back in the days, and let's go back into colonialism. Like, whatever you was able to produce on your land or be able to trade within town at a trading post, or a merchant, which was your trading post person or business, that was the only way you were able to attain other things that you had interest other than what you were able to produce yourself. So then again, you needed someone else in order to have a sense of sustainability. You know what I'm saying? The earth, even primarily with the soil and the producing of plants, or the botanical aspect of earth, and being able to produce food for the animals, or us humans through the animals, to be able to again have sustainability and be able to have a provision of food. So independent really is not, being like free. Because what is really free in the term of a interdependent world or existence? Now, within oneself, deeply within, and how you project and radiate, like that is a different aspect of what we should be specifically referencing in terms of independence. And then through multiple and connected radiations and interdependence, then we have a collective evolution. But let's get to this word interdependence. The dependence of two or more people or things on each other. So let's go back into the independent thing. Now, people own land, and people sell their land for businesses to build on the land, or they rent the land for people to put things on the land, and then they charge a fee for you being able to utilize the land for whatever business you provide. You know what I'm saying? So us, even, when you live in this country, even if you own, let's say, a house, you still have to pay property tax, land tax. You have all of these taxes because the actual land is owned by the government. So then you're borrowing something from someone else in order to have a residence or a stable place to stay, rest your head, sleep, eat, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever you do these days, you know what I'm saying? Plug in your iPhone or your whatever, and make sure that it's fully charged or, connected, so that way you don't lose touch or connection with the whole social world in this entire globe. So interdependence is what it really is all about. You know what I'm saying? If you are operating in the mind state of a lower understanding of independent, that's how you losing out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go into a bigger point, because when we speak of maturity, like, maturity is really embracing the deep within and radiating out with the authentic love. Judgment, none of that. Resentment, none of that. Like, anger, none of that. Jealousy, none of that. Like, all of those attributes that go in regards to the 7 sins that cover the box of fear that is held by the conscious con. You know what I'm saying? The independent, like, again, I said, is not really true. You're a dependent on the conscious con in order to gain these false idols and objects that you glorify, as well as brag to others in regards to, what you have and what they don't have. And that is a sense of immaturity, or living within the evil self in you. Because again, the pure self is so concentrated into interrelating with all with no judgment. And then that is maturity, responsibility, humbleness. Cats out there that make fun of other people because, you know, they look a particular type way that they want to try to minimize for the sake of having the comedy stage or being the clown. You know what I'm saying? The clown want to take over the circus, so the clown go out there and try to, you know what I'm saying, do things to poke at other people for the amusement of the whole crowd. But, the clown not only is laughing at the person they're poking at, but they're laughing at the clown because they know that he's a clown. So when we talk about, maturity is really being authentic and deep within the interdependence and radiating your true moral foundation and culture of love, and being able to radiate that out to many different directions. So, when we talk about maturity isn't just, or responsible or grown. Like, just because able to pay some bills, but you're late, always got to borrow money from others in order to cover what you weren't able to cover because you had a bunch of goofy and poor invested things that you decided to put your mind into, as opposed to constructive, healthy, productive compliments in order to add on to your light and your radiation in maturity. So anybody that, say, yeah, I'm mature and so on and so forth, like, really, how do you treat other people? How do you really feel about yourself? And how you really feel about yourself relates to how you treat other people. How do you speak to other people? How do you carry within conversation into not trying to create some form of power by mocking or dismissing another person's conversation or thought. Because when people do that and try to, short or cut people with antics of buffoonery and clownishness, that is immature. And that is the evil of you continuing to masquerade in the covers of sin in order to disguise your fear. And fear is immaturity. So if you're afraid and more afraid of being honest about what you bring to every moment, forget about every day, every moment, are you genuinely kind? You know what I'm saying? I see these people on social media and they throwing up these memes and, all these goofy things that make fun of other people, but would they say that to the people in their circle that pretty much character the same as the thing that you're mocking? Nah, you're going to try to play it off and minimize yo, well, I was that I'm talking about somebody else, and if they were lost to not pick up on the game that you trying to throw shenanigans around, because when it really come down to it, in the right circumstance and wrong situation for you, like they will sell you out. Because that's what they do in common, and that's only because it don't really mean anything other than a bunch of other generic dummies, to use that term. But if you were to involve into a specific situation to where it was either you or them, because of their ego and what they generally show, like you gonna fall right in line of what they mock in front of your face because of what you follow, and you just excuse it as, well, they can't be talking about me because we friends. So maturity again, like, what is that? Because it's not just age. If you think that just because, I knew this dude and he's no longer around, 51 years old, been living in his parents' basement for 5 years, can't lick the alcohol problem, and then wound up drinking himself to death. You know what I'm saying? Whenever it came down to, helping out with bills or whatever, like, this dude had an excuse for everything why he wasn't able to provide. And I did that before in another person's coexistence, and I'm ashamed to say that I did that. But I know that, what I had to go through post abusing that situation, has grown me to this understanding of how I'm speaking now, and really not even trying to minimize just how immature, I was trying to think of another word, but just how immature, childish, and low level being that represents. You know what I'm saying? I know another cat. I got endless stories. There's a couple of cats I know that either stayed at home underneath their older parents' roof, or they left for a minute but they had to come back, or their wife is, or their significant other that they with or have been with, is the primary breadwinner, and they're always not able to equally provide, or they have to borrow money from friends or family in order to mask the fact that they're highly irresponsible and immature, and the person they're with, they met them from some old back in the day situation, more than likely, because they've been together for a minute. And in that situation, they feel some obligation because of what used to be. And then that goes into that past. Because when you ain't following and flowing into the now, then you letting that miserable, immature person suck you into who they always was, and you excused it because, y'all got history. So that's the past. But now, they ain't about nothing, or they ain't never really been about nothing, but now there's a serious problem because so much time has transpired into a consistent understanding of regression and lack of value by not even being able to meet you halfway. And if you find yourself connected to those people, that's more about you than them. Like, why are you holding on to them? Like, what's your whole insecurity of why you feel you need to keep them or obligate yourself to take care of them? Like, that's not mature. Mature is loving yourself enough to know that that's not right. And if they're not able to value equally of what you value to yourself and what you give to others, then you know what I'm saying, you gotta put them on behind you where they belong, because that's where they live and think anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, or their future is continuing to manipulate you and suck you up by using the past as an obligated connection. And we went a little bit further. And simply, you know, for any young folks or any grown children, like, maturity is not just age and making money and being able to buy things at will. You know what I'm saying? It's about morals, responsibility, and having a high level of honor and being able to respect your sustainability and being able to pay forward, not only through finances, which is more minimal, but in ingratiating them or anything outside from the enlightened highest of inner love authentically that you choose to project. Really be careful about that word maturity. And are you truly to a higher level to where that word carries its proper weight? And that's basically all I really had to talk about, or what was on my mind, because a lot of people throw out this maturity thing, and I'm like, if you aren't channeled really within to be so selfless and so humble and so honest and project that out in its highest radiation in honesty, you know what I'm saying, without all that judgment and mockery and, you know, all that what would they call it, premeditated selfish idealism. This is Sensei Fouché telling all y'all stay woke, relax, take notes, and really study maturity. And be honest about your immaturity and how much you really need to grow and evolve. And we'll be okay. Or you'll be okay. And you'll have less worry, less frustration, and more productivity, and more calm. Stay smooth. 1.